The third lever that you can look at to make your company more financially successful is overhead. Now, overhead, whether it's labor or not, are going to be all of the expenses that remain the same, whether you've got one more client or 10 more clients or maybe 100 more clients. So that's going to be things like your marketing software that you have to pay every single month. That's going to include paying your accountant, legal fees. There's probably some of your staff that is counted as part of overhead. If you have a physical office, then the rent that you pay and the utilities, those are all going to be part of your overhead. Now, seeing as labor is such a big part of most companies' overhead, it's definitely worth looking at where you can get more and more efficient. For example, if you simply take the total profit of your company and you compare that to the amount of money you put into labor, we want to see that profitability go up as your labor stays ideally flat or maybe even becoming less expensive. So what are some ways that you can get more profit out of the same or less labor? I think a really powerful 3-step path to follow is to first think about what can you eliminate. Are there steps that your customers really don't care about? Are there activities, behaviors that don't really make a difference for them? For example, one of my earlier businesses was a digital marketing company, and every single 2 weeks, I would prepare a report alongside my executive assistant. We would submit that report to our clients, and that would give them their update on the state of the union of their account. After a few months of this, I was trying to think for myself, how can I make my labor more efficient? And so I reached out to my clients and I asked them, hey, you know that report that my assistant and I produce for you every 2 weeks? What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? What do you think we should do differently? A couple of my clients just said, you know what, honestly, Tim, we just believe you. We believe your recommendations, and we trust that if something bad were to come up, you would be proactive and you would let us know. And so I said, does that mean that you don't even really look at the reports? They said, yeah, no, we don't even really look at them. I was blown away. So what did I do? I simply stopped creating them and I simply stopped sending them. That's an example of eliminating something that's not making any difference for customers. A second way to get more efficient is to think about what can we automate? Where can we get software to do what we previously were doing ourselves or teammates were doing via manual labor? Is there some way that we can use integrations like Zapier or If This Then That to take care of a bunch of repetitive tasks for us? And a third way to get more efficient to cut down on your labor costs is to think about, do we have the right people doing the right job? I'll give you a true story. I was working inside of a company. They were an internet company doing over $10 million a year, so they had a full executive team, including a chief financial officer. I happened to notice one day that the chief financial officer was actually downloading all the bank statements and sending them off to the accountant. That blew me away. Here's someone that is very highly educated with a ton of influence in this company doing over $10 million a year in revenue, and he's the one who's logging into their online banking and downloading bank statements. I thought it was absolutely crazy. There's no way that a CFO should be doing that work. The CFO should be focused on strategy. That CFO should have had a teammate, ideally an assistant, that CFO might be paying $20 to $25 an hour to be the one to download the bank statements, not the CFO. This is equally as true in smaller businesses. If you are a solopreneur or you have just a couple teammates, really ask yourself, is what you're doing at least $50 an hour work? And if it's not, we gotta get an assistant. You've gotta get things delegated off your plate because you are far, far, far too skilled and experienced. It's just not appropriate anymore for you to be doing that lower level work. As you can take on an assistant, yes, maybe your labor costs would go up just a little bit, but the fact of the matter is that should give you so much extra time that you would produce so much more profit for the company, especially if you've done your homework and figured out where your cost of acquisition and your cost of labor is, that you would completely blow away in such a good way any of the added costs that you would have by getting an assistant.